Hey everybody, it's Brittany Lachey, and I'm back with a new video. So I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you saw my last video where I talked about how I knew I was pregnant before I tested positive. It's a really cool video because I just kind of talk about my experience. I'll also go over some of the symptoms that I experienced as well. I think it's helpful for someone who would want to know. But for this video, I'm going to be talking about my symptoms for weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I found out that I was pregnant when I was 3 weeks pregnant. And I would have to say that I had symptoms immediately, which was something different than I had experienced when I was pregnant with my son. But again, I'm in my 30s now, and I had my son when I was just 23. And I really didn't have any symptoms at all with my son. It was a super easy pregnancy. So we can attribute that to me being younger, or we can attribute it to it being a boy, or we can attribute it to me not being as self-aware as I am now. But regardless, immediately this pregnancy was totally different. So I have some notes over here because I kind of wanted to stay on track so that I could just kind of tell you where I was. But one of the first things that I experienced was my appetite was larger. It increased significantly, but it wasn't necessarily more food. It was more snacking. So I had more yogurt and I had more fruit and I would have crackers, and it was a consistent basis to where I needed something on my mouth every 3 hours, or I would feel like a pain in my stomach, and that was immediately. But the good news is the nausea did not really start right away. It was more like tummy aches at first. And that was mostly due to if I wasn't eating enough or as frequently as I needed to. When I did get into the nausea, it was probably after my appetite increased. So maybe like the week after or something like that. And I have to say that I never actually vomited, which is cool, but I would feel just sick. Like I wouldn't feel good. I would feel woozy. I was having hot flashes. I was just not feeling right. I wasn't feeling right. Sometimes I would start to eat like an actual meal and not a healthy snack, and I would feel sick eating that meal. So I didn't really want it, and I just felt like really nauseous. My nausea actually peaked at night. So usually around like 9:30 after my shower and I was in the bed, that's when I would actually start feeling a lot more sicker. Or that's when I would feel like my pregnancy symptoms. And me and my boyfriend had a joke that every night it was a different symptom that I was feeling at 9:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. only. But yeah, nausea was one of those symptoms for week 4 through 8. And I'm sure this is a symptom with everyone. I was urinating a whole lot more than I ever was. It literally felt like it was every time I sat down, I had to use the bathroom again. And that's not necessarily true, but that's what it felt like. I did increase my water. It's not that I drink juice or soda anyway. I only drink water or coffee. But I was drinking more water and I was reducing my coffee intake. For pregnancy, you don't want to drink any more than 12 ounces of coffee. If you go to like a Starbucks or something like that and you get espresso, that actually has like a certain amount of milligrams of espresso in it. So you definitely want to research to make sure that you're staying under 200 milligrams when you're consuming coffee, because the coffee increases like your risk of miscarriage and stuff like that. But I digress. The water that I was drinking was really making me have to use the bathroom a lot more. Typically when I go to bed at night, I usually take a jug of water with me, and I really stopped drinking it because I was having to get up in the middle of the night, which is still a common issue. But yeah, I was using the bathroom a lot more. I was also hiccuping all day, all night, eating, not eating, hiccuping for weeks straight. I was hiccuping. I had a girlfriend that hiccuped during her pregnancy, and I thought it was like a little peculiar because it never happened with when I was pregnant with my son. But yeah, I was hiccuping. You guys have to let me know in the comments if any of you have hiccuped through a pregnancy. Immediately, my boobs were swollen and my nipples were super sensitive. What's interesting about my boobs is that I had a reduction almost 4 years ago. So they were swelling, but it was totally different than how they used to be because they're a lot smaller than how they used to be. But my nipples were completely like aching. Like they were very, 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 very sore. But that was one of the symptoms that I had. Bloating, I talked about that in my last video. That was an initial symptom that came to me right away, almost as soon as I conceived. Bloating still remained an issue. But I think as the pregnancy progressed, I stopped bloating. I generally wake up with a really flat tummy, and then when I eat throughout the day, my belly just kind of expands, but it's not really bloating. It's really just the food that I eat for the day. And I also want to talk about glowing. My face was glowing. And I don't think that it's glowing now. I think that it was glowing like from week 4 through 8 the most, to where people who knew me and worked with me were saying, Brittany, you look really different. And I was like, oh, it's my hair, or, oh, I'm not wearing my glasses today. And they're like, no, you look really different. So I was literally glowing from the inside out. I could see it, other people could see it, and it was beautiful. I wish that glow lasted because it was really, really nice. And I guess I just kind of got used to the hormones, but I do understand that when you're pregnant, you have an increase of blood within your body. So it was probably just coming out through my face, which was making me look very, very flushed. And now I've probably got used to the amount of blood content that I have in my body. So the effects are not the same, but the glow was something serious. So I hope that you guys get that pregnancy glow too. I hope it remains with you because it is a good thing. So I was extremely emotional. I was irritable. So, yeah, there were just some things that bugged me. And I was going to voice my opinion about it. I was going to cut it off. I was going to nip it in the bud. I was just very low tolerance for some stuff. And I think that probably had a lot to do with the nausea or the headaches that I was receiving as well from all the hormones that were in my body. So yeah, and being super emotional, it wasn't great. I had a lot of crying spells where I was just crying over things that bothered me. And yes, they bugged me. But if I wasn't pregnant, I don't see myself crying over these same things. I'm not much of a crybaby. And I have to say, I was extremely, extremely tearful. Yeah, I would cry. And I don't want to get into like the details of what I was crying about or how long I would cry. But the crying spells are a real thing. So make sure that you guys are looking out for that and you're taking care of yourself and you're making sure that you're not stressed and, you're reducing whatever anxiety that's around you and just like making sure that you stay calm and you're zen. You might want to do something that's going to make you happier, right? Like working out. That's a really great routine to have. It releases chemicals inside your body that gives you like happy hormones. So not to say that if you have crying spells when you're pregnant and emotional that you're not happy, but you're just really affected by all of the different changes in your body and you really need something that you might be able to control, right? So I think it's really making sure that you wake up every single morning and you're choosing peace and happiness. And you're not letting the day get to you, especially when you're pregnant, because the baby feels that. The baby feels when you're sad. The baby feels when you're happy. The baby feels when you're stressed. So you want to do the most to just kind of make sure that you're well balanced. And if you're taking care of you, then you're taking care of baby. And lastly, spotting. You guys, I spotted all the way until I was 12 weeks. And it was... Sometimes it would be for days in a row, take a few days off, days in a row again. It was light, it was pink. And it was frustrating because in the beginning of your pregnancy, like you start to think like, what are the chances of miscarriage? And so I had those thoughts, and I spoke with my nurse at the OBGYN office, and they let me know that it can be completely normal, but if I have intense cramping or cramping of any kind, to make sure to call the office back, they'll bring me in. And yeah, that was it. I spotted quite a bit, definitely through week 4 and 8. Definitely, it was extremely frustrating. But yeah, that's a lot of what was going on in week 4 through 8. I'm sure that you guys can look at some other videos on YouTube and see what some of those other ladies were going through, but that was my experience. And I would have to say, like, I just really didn't feel that good. I was nauseous for a really long time, and the hiccups were really annoying, and the spotting made me really concerned. But I was overall excited to be carrying baby. And I hope that you guys will too. And this is why I'm posting this video, just because now I'm into my 2nd trimester now. So I am technically in the clear. And so these were some of the symptoms that could have been alarming, and everything was fine, and baby's got a strong heartbeat, and I'm doing well, I'm feeling well, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.